Imagine yourself thousands of miles from home and you're traveling through Southeast Asia. Everything is going great. Then you find out you need an emergency surgery in a foreign country. That's exactly what happened to me. One of my biggest fears about traveling overseas was healthcare. Questions like, what happened if something goes wrong? Can I trust the doctors? Will I be able to communicate with them? How much is it going to cost? This is what happened to me for real, for real. And those are real concerns, especially if you're thinking about retiring overseas. But after going through emergency surgery in Malaysia, I walked away with a completely different perspective. So today I'm going to share exactly what happened, how we found the hospital, what the experience was like, and what it actually cost us, and whether I would trust Malaysia with my healthcare again. If healthcare is one of the reasons you're afraid to retire overseas, I hope this experience helps you put your mind at ease. Before we started our travel plans to Southeast Asia, we heard that Malaysia is top-notch for their healthcare, for things like full health screening, where you can go and get a full health checkup for a fraction of the cost in the US, all in one day. And you can pretty much get everything tested that you can be tested without having to wait for insurance coverage, without having to schedule all of that. So that's what we went to Malaysia for. I did not expect to have an emergency surgery in Malaysia when we booked that appointment. After we landed in Malaysia, we had traveled around, enjoyed the country for a little bit, and we booked an appointment to go get a full healthcare screening at the Prince Court, which is one of the famous expat hospitals where people do this. So we had an appointment. We called and got an appointment literally within a day or two. And we went in for our health full screening. And we showed up in the morning. Our appointment was like 9 a.m. in the morning. And we showed up and they had us through the, assembly line. I'll share about that whole healthcare screening thing at Prince Court and how much it costs for both me and my husband, because they have different packages for male and female. And depending on your age, the cost varies. I'll share that in another video, but this video is about my emergency surgery in Malaysia. So what happened was I went through my healthcare screening. They tested everything from my blood pressure to chest x-ray. They checked, I had a gynecology appointment. So the whole body was pretty much checked out. And then at the end of the day, we met with our doctors and they went through our test results. And when I sat down to go over my test results with the doctor at Prince Court at the end of the day, she told me that she wanted to refer me to gyno for further examination. They sent me to the gyno the next day. So I met with the specialist the next day. They got me an appointment the next day right away. And I met with them, had more x-rays done, ultrasound, things like that. And what they have found is a large cyst on one of my ovaries. And it was to the point where it was large enough in size where they were afraid it was going to burst. And they recommended me to a surgical specialist. So I met with the surgical specialist the same day. And this surgical specialist, they wanted to test that, make sure it was not cancerous or anything like that. So they did that. And thankfully, it came back as non-cancerous, but they were very concerned because of the size of the cyst. They wanted to recommend I remove it, had a surgery to remove it right away. And that was obviously not a result that I was hoping for when I went into that health screening 2 days ago. And so the surgeon who saw me at Prince Court also happened to work at Gleneagles in Kuala Lumpur, which is one of their sister hospitals. They, serve a lot of expats. And so he actually referred me to come to his office the next day. And he actually, the same day, told me if I wanted to get the surgery scheduled, I can just get it scheduled. I think the health screening was Thursday. The next day, I saw the gynecologist specialist and the surgeon specialist. And then that end of Friday, the surgeon told me that it's not cancerous, so we could operate on it. But if you want to operate on it, we could put in a schedule for the surgery this coming week. The earliest they had available was Tuesday. So from Thursday to full health screening to surgery scheduled for the next week, Tuesday, just a matter of 1, 2, 3 business days of having a surgery. And so that was just mind blowing. And obviously this was a very scary experience, being so many miles away from home and wasn't really expecting this. So the backstory with this is I've had a lifelong battle with endometriosis for the last 20 years. And, the last time the doctor told me 2 years ago, I think before this, that I had an examination, an ultrasound done where they found a small amount. The cyst was a small amount where they said it's nothing to be concerned about, just keep an eye on it and it might go away on its own. If not, just come back and consult at that point. So within a matter of 2 years, this cyst has grown to a grapefruit size. And obviously, this was not safe to be traveling around or just to take this risk. So they recommended the surgery for the next week, Tuesday, at Gleneagles Hospital. And I went in there for the surgery. The day before, they had me come in and just to make sure everything looks good, take my measurements and have the second ultrasound to make sure nothing is interfering before the surgery, did all the checkups and everything. So the next morning I came in, they had me already admitted to the hospital. And then a few hours after I arrived and checked into the hospital, they had me into the surgery room. So I had the operation done. And then when I came to it back in the hospital room a few hours later, the operation had already done. After I came back to it, the surgeon would come and came to check on me and told us that the surgery went well. They were able to remove the cyst and it had developed over the years quite rapidly. And it was, they were able to remove it successfully. And, I should be on schedule to heal normally and recover. So I spent 4 nights and 5 days at the hospital, the full surgery. And then, I was on medication and painkillers after that. They had me hooked up to all the machines and all of that. We had a private hospital room at Gleneagles Hospital and had a bathroom inside. They had a little pull-out bed for my husband to stay with me in the hospital. And then the care was absolutely amazing. Of course, everything is in English, so that made things so much easier. I don't know what I would do if we had to, had a language barrier and had to go through a translator, all of that. At this hospital, they even had an international patient lounge or special department where they assist international patients who are there for healthcare and surgery and all of that. If you ever needed help with your visa extensions or you needed anything like legal had to do with your passport or visa or anything like that while you're going through healthcare or surgery at their hospital, they have a whole department dedicated to international patients who would handle all of that for you. So that was absolutely amazing. We spent 4 nights and 5 days at the hospital. And then every day while I'm in the hospital, the surgeon who operated on me would come every morning before he goes into his office or some part of the day. He would come and check on me personally, not just a nurse, not just, another substitute doctor. The surgeon who operated on me would come and check on me every single day that I was in a hospital. And then the final day, he finally discharged me and said, I think you can go home. You can recover. Here are your care instructions. You're not allowed to, get on an airplane or travel anytime soon. You gotta wait. I think it was 2 weeks that you have to wait before you can clear to fly or, don't go in public, things like that. The aftercare. I'm getting out of the hospital today. Yay.
Yay. Was
Doctor came in
discharged?
this morning. Doctor said I can get out today. I mean, at this point, I can pretty much get out of the bed, go to the bathroom myself. I still need help showering and stuff, but they pulled the last needle out of my hand this morning. So I'm not taking anything through a needle. I'm taking some painkillers and some injections and stuff. I think that's but safe to go. So as long as I get some more movement, I should be good to go. Excited to get out. That was definitely a travel hiccup that we did not plan in part of our itinerary, but we ended up adding several more weeks to our Malaysia itinerary because I wasn't cleared to fly after the surgery. But as far as the quality of the hospital care, I was so impressed by the healthcare in Malaysia. In the cost, I think in the equal surgery and all of the steps in a private room and care and all of that, I think the cost was significantly less compared to the US, even with insurance. This definitely wasn't the ideal situation that happened. Obviously, it's like one of the worst things that can happen to you while you're traveling around the world, right? But I'm also very grateful that this happened in Malaysia, which is one of the number one medical tourism travel spots, that they had the infrastructure, they had the healthcare system, there to take care of it, to for me to receive this care. So if you're worried about healthcare, if you're worried about anything happening to you, if you have any health conditions, or if you don't, you get the surprise, thing during a routine checkup like me, then just know there are other countries out there. They have amazing quality of healthcare that are much affordable cost compared to even with U.S. health insurance, and amazing quality of healthcare and infrastructure and facilities and doctors. Hey, real quick before we continue, if you're an American hoping to retire and slow travel the world in the next 2 to 5 years, I created a free resource just for you. It's called the Retirement Travel Readiness Checklist. It walks you through the 12 biggest things to have in place before taking the leap to retire abroad. I'm putting the finishing touches on it right now, and my goal is to release it as soon as this channel reaches 500 subscribers. So if you don't want to miss it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And that way you will be one of the first to get a free copy when it's released. All right, let's get back to the story. So the hospitals were very clean and very modern. I felt comfortable. The nurses were very caring, very attentive. I would have several times they would come and check through it every few hours, come medication, come, different activities throughout the day. And I felt very, very well taken care of in a foreign country. And it was just so impressive. And that has really helped me put my mind at ease with, oh, this is like the worst thing could have happened to me as an international traveler on the road and traveling the world. And it has happened to me, and I'm still alive. I haven't died. And the fact that they took care of me so well, and everything was modern and in English, and I felt very safe and relieved. That was my experience. I would not have imagined that I would have a surgery in a different country, but it happened to me, and I am here to say it actually wasn't bad. So here's the part you were been waiting for. I'm going to go over the hospital bills, what it cost me. And for a caveat, we funded the surgery out of pocket. So it does not involve any health insurance. It does not involve any travel insurance. This is fully funded, just out of pocket, out the door price. Now, the specialist, they referred me after the full health screening and the ultrasound cost $206.77. And the CAT scan to determine the size of the cyst and also the test to see if it was cancerous and all of that cost $478.08. And then the hospital bill for 4 nights and 5 days, the surgery, the hospital stay, the medication and everything, and for extra bed for my husband to stay there with me, all of that cost altogether $6,080.21 US dollars. Now, if I had the surgery in the US, it would be probably $30,000-$40,000. And even with health insurance, the deductible would be 10, 15K. It would be thousands of dollars. It would be a lot more. And also, I would have to probably wait months and maybe years to find a specialist to be able to get on the wait list, to be able to be covered by it and to get the surgery. But since I was in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, literally from the time I went in for the health screening on Thursday, I had the surgery the next week on Tuesday. So that is the amazing speed. I didn't have to wait for anything. They literally same day referred me to a specialist. The specialist referred me to the surgeon, and they make sure you ruled out any cancer and things like that right away, and did the CAT scan, the ultrasound, everything to make sure that I was ready for the surgery, and I did not have to wait. And altogether, it cost less than $7,000 out of pocket. Everything, hospital stay, surgery, CAT scan, the cancer testing, the specialist appointment, the ultrasound, all of it included was less than $7,000 altogether. So that is the number. Now, I have also, before the surgery, talked with somebody who had another American who had a surgery, similar surgery at the same hospital about a year ago. Before I had the surgery, and their surgery cost was slightly less. So I have noticed over the years, the price is going slightly higher every year. Your prices might vary, but this is my numbers that I paid for. But overall, it really made me feel at ease. And I just had to take things slow after the surgery. Like I said, we had to extend our stay in Malaysia because I wasn't cleared to travel, cleared to get on an airplane. So we had to just take care and stay in Malaysia a little bit longer, which we didn't mind. And so the recovery took, I think, a week or two. I was starting to feel better, getting up and walking around. And we just, we stayed at a condo first and then a hotel to recover from it. And then after I think 2 to 3 weeks, I was cleared to fly again. And that's when we moved on to the next destination. So hopefully my story of getting an emergency surgery overseas will help put your mind at ease about your concerns and fear about healthcare overseas. And I personally could not say enough nice things about the healthcare in Malaysia and how efficient and professional and clean and caring the service was, and the facilities were nice and clean, and everything, the communication, the cost was, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times cheaper than the US, even with or without health insurance, the out of pocket, the deductible, and all of that. And so, would I trust Malaysia again with my healthcare? The answer is absolutely yes. Before this happened, the healthcare overseas was one of my biggest concerns. And now it's actually now one of the reasons I would feel comfortable spending more time in countries like Malaysia, where they have amazing healthcare. But does that mean every hospital overseas is the same? Of course not. So you do your research, and there's a lot of well-traveled paths for people who are seeking, healthcare and places like this, and Malaysia and Thailand and other countries. So do refer to those resources where other expats like me who have had firsthand experiences in medical care overseas, and do check those out. If you're thinking about retiring and slow traveling the world in the next 2 to 5 years, I would love to have you be part of this channel. And if you have any questions about my surgery or any other questions you might have about healthcare in Malaysia, do drop those in the comments, and I'll do my best to reply any of the questions you might have. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.